Welcome, everybody. It's December 1st. John Aravosis here, coming to you live from Chicago, putting on my microphone as I talk to you. How's everybody doing today? We're going to talk about Ukraine and Israel and a little bit of American news. Some good news and some bad news, American. Anyway, how are folks doing? Let me get TikTok rolling on my iPad. One moment here. La la la, Friday. Woo woo. TikTok. Here we go. Oh, hey, Kilo. Let me get this here live. I think that's it. All right. I'm going to try this. Go live. Go live. All right. Oh, Sasha? What's that? It was like reading Sasha and grilled cheese. I'm not sure I understand exactly what's going on. Oops. There we go. That's pretty good. All right. Woo. Hello, all. Hello, Norway. Gonna get like all my things. I think we're okay. All right. Moving my things around. I have like a huge camouflage net in the middle of my table. My poor mother. my Ukrainian camouflage net that I'm auctioning off. Literally, it's in the middle of the table that I'm sitting at in her living room or in a family room. It's just like eating up the table. Oh, the things mothers put up with. What do you do? Anyway, hello all. Yes, George Santos, bye-bye. We'll start talking about him a little bit at the beginning. Very exciting. How's everybody doing? TikTok, YouTube, etc. Oh, hello, Ireland. User 1165. Gothenburg. Is it chilly? Yeah. Hey, Shane. Yeah, it's kind of chilly in Chicago too now, unfortunately. Not too bad. It's above freezing. Thank you. Hey, Pam. Thank you. But, Hawaii. Oh, hate you. Hey, Joe. That's nice. I've still never been to Hawaii. I need to do that one of these times. Nova Scotia. I'm assuming that's cold. Hey, Derek. Oh, my God, I can't be yawning at you guys this quickly. Oh, hey, Pam. Rawr. -8. Ugh. I mean, that's Celsius, but that's still bad. 70s. Where is that, Lori? 70s where? Ontario. I'm sure you're cold. That's a given. Hey, Marie. Oh, South Carolina. Oh, that's nice. Wow, that's very nice. Very nice. Oh, Andre from Canada. Hey, Danielle. Susan. Oh, I'm going to yawn at you guys. My dog woke me up again last night. Oh, hey, lizard person. She woke up at 3 a.m. and jumped down on the floor, and I was going to kill her, thinking she had to go out. And she just wanted to stretch and then jump back into bed. And this is why I'm awake, already annoyed. Gotta love the dog. All right, guys, we're about ready to start. Maybe another half minute, and then we'll get rolling here. And as usual, we'll start with a little American news. Then we will jump into Ukraine. Then we'll jump into Israel. I'm going to start with Ukraine. America, and then Ukraine, then Israel. That's what we're going to do today. Maui in 2 weeks. Oh, that should be nice. Oh, it's always for the kids. Yeah, because of the fires and stuff. Yeah. Is Hawaii visitable? Hey, Lori. Is Maui visitable, or what's the? Hey, Valerie. Thank you for that. Very nice gift. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I'll get rolling here. So welcome, everybody. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from Chicago, visiting my family. The show basically is, I try to do news. I do news every day, mostly international, mostly the war in Ukraine. Lately been covering Israel as well, the war in Gaza. Is everybody else picking up okay? Otambot says on Twitch he's not picking up well. Is everybody else hearing okay? I know on TikTok you are, but on Twitter, on YouTube, etc. Just making sure. Anyway, but yeah, so the way we do this is I yawn at you for an hour. Oh, I try not to yawn at you for an hour. Thank you, Ellie. The dog woke me up again last night, my sleeping companion. And then we do questions for the second half of the show. If folks wanted, basically the way you can support me, if you want, is to do super chat questions on YouTube or to buy the gifts on TikTok. As I said, I do this for free. It's always a calculus of how much longer I can do this. But this is my job for real. So your guys' gifts help pay the wage to keep me going. So thank you for that. Please keep them coming. All right, let's jump in. So a little bit of American news, both of which were important. The first one, I should have had some tea before I came out with you guys. Oh my God, I can't yawn. I cannot yawn. I'm sorry. George Santos is out. So for Americans, they probably know who this guy is. The rest of you may not. We had, past tense, this Republican member of Congress who was like a walking fraud machine. Hard to explain everything this guy did. He's under indictment by the federal government. He the ethics committee in the House of Representatives found him guilty of all sorts of things. The interesting thing is, thank you, Jetta, the impetus to get him thrown out of the House of Representatives today. Thank you, James. And he lost the vote in the House. He's gone. The vote came up because of a Republican. The Republican, thank you, Richard, chairman and James of the House Ethics Committee was so outraged by what he had uncovered that it was the Republican chairman of the Ethics Committee who said, we're kicking him out, and actually put the resolution to the House floor today that kicked him out. So very interesting, because typically not typically, but a lot of times something like this, it would be like Democrats going after Republicans, Republicans after Democrats. It was different this time. The House is not under Democratic control. The House is under Republican control. It still is. Republicans had about a 4-seat majority in the House of Representatives. Now they have a 3-seat majority, but they voted to kick the guy out. What they think was possibly the thing that finally did him in. Now, in the end, I don't have the exact tally in front of me. Maybe it's like 105 Republicans voted to kick him out, and 115 or 118 or something voted to keep him. It was confused. It was more voted to keep him, but it was pretty much 50-50. Which again was very interesting, to kick him out. Well, the vote was, we're talking about a Republican member of Congress, George Santos, who is a fabulist, basically like a serial liar. And he was kicked out of the U.S. House of Representatives today, which was a big deal. Bottom line was, it looks like he ended up defrauding a member of Congress as well. Thank you, Elizabeth. And that's what finally got him. Thank you, Arifa, that a Republican member of Congress sent a note around this morning to everybody saying that Santos had used his credit card, his mother's, the Republican congressman's mother's credit card, thank you, Dawn, and charged like a donation to his campaign. And it was an illegal donation. It wasn't just stolen. It was an illegal donation because it was more money than you can give. Anyway, Santos is gone. It's a big deal for Americans. And will be interesting to see with House Republicans what this does for them, trying to keep things going with their control. Second big story of the day in America was Sandra Day O'Connor, a famous jurist, died. She was the first woman on the Supreme Court and involved in a lot of sort of very famous American court decisions that have already been overturned by the more conservative justices. So anyway, thank you, Norway. Let's dive in. So we'll dive in first with Ukraine, and then we can do Israel. All right, quick sip of water. So today is day 643 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Quick warning, by the way. Mom is out at the doctor. I'm visiting my mother. Mom is out at the doctor, so she and her helper are going to be coming in at some point and coming right. The dog will be barking at the door. I'm just giving you the heads up. Welcome to visiting family and doing a news show. So Ukraine, really wild. This was wild story. So yesterday, I'd mentioned to you guys yesterday a small story. We didn't have any news about it beyond this. All we knew was there had been like an explosion or something at a railway tunnel out in Siberia. And I told you guys that what surprised me at the time was this tunnel is 4,000 miles or 6,000 kilometers away from Ukraine. So to me, the story initially was just that Ukraine was able to do any kind of attack 4,000 miles away, right? 6,000 kilometers. That's insane. Well, we got more information on it today. And listen to this. Now, this comes from a security source, meaning somebody affiliated with the Ukrainian intelligence services, saying that the Ukrainian intelligence orchestrated an attack overnight on the 29th, 30th of November. Thank you, Tom. So that would just be a couple days ago. The attack was in the Severomuyski. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to get this wrong. Severomuyski something tunnel, Russia's longest railway tunnel. 5,000 kilometers from Ukraine, as I said. 4 explosives detonated in the tunnel while a freight train was passing through. So get this. It doesn't, by the way, they did 2 attacks. This gets even better. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you for that. So the freight train is going through the tunnel. 4 explosions happen, cause a massive fire, massive destruction in the tunnel. The trains, as a result of the explosion, trains had to take an alternate route crossing this 35 meter or like 100-foot high bridge. Thank you, Ellie. So the Ukrainians, it looks like they blow up a tunnel, with a train in it. Very smart, right? Very smart to do it when you're in the tunnel. So the Russians had to take an alternative route over the bridge. So what did the Ukrainians do? They blew up the bridge while the other train was going over the bridge. Thank you, Alex. There were explosives planted on the bridge that reportedly detonated just as a fuel train was passing over it. So mind you, it's a fuel train blowing up, which means even more explosion. This was very well done. The railway that was blown up is a key railway route for Russian military logistics. It runs north of the Trans-Siberian Railway and is part of a network of tracks connecting Russia with China. It's apparently one of the two big railways that connects Russia with China, which is also very interesting in terms of Chinese help for Russia. This was good. Thank you, Jonathan. This was very good. Again, like all this stuff, it's cumulative. It's not like one attack is going to change everything, but it was a very good attack. It was a coordinated attack in that they were hitting multiple places. They were hitting specific trains when they were in there. Everything about this was very complicated, and they pulled it off 4,000 miles away, 6,000 kilometers. So very cool. The Associated Press, it was AP interviewed Zelensky about the war. Number of things, nothing too earth-shattering, but I thought I would just tell you about it. He says the war being in the winter is in a new stage. Winter is expected to complicate the fighting after a summer counteroffensive that failed to produce desired results due to enduring shortages of weapons and ground forces. He gave this is according to AP, he gave a frank opposal of last summer's counteroffensive. Quote, "We wanted faster results. From that perspective, unfortunately, we did not achieve the desired results, and this is a fact." Thank you, Crazy American. He said Ukraine did not, they're paraphrasing here, Ukraine did not get all the weapons it needed from allies, he said, and limits in the size of his military force precluded a quick advance. Zelensky also said he fears the Israeli-Hamas war threatens to overshadow the conflict in Ukraine as competing political agendas and limited resources put the flow of Western aid at risk. Thank you, Lizard. So none of that's really new. Interesting to see him sort of say it publicly, but I don't think any of that's particularly new. The trucker blockade, I looked a little bit more into this. Somebody had asked the other day about what was going on with the trucker blockade on the Polish border and then with the Slovak border. Looked a little more into it. Now, there have been brewing problems with farmers originally with Ukrainians because they were trying to export their grain via like Poland and some of the other countries, and it was coming basically very cheaply into the European Union and then competing with European Union grain. So the farmers got upset, everything else. This time it's truckers, and Slovakian truckers have now joined with the Polish truckers blocking the border with Ukraine. Thank you, Cheryl. Just to show you, Polish border is over here with Ukraine. Okay. Now, thank you, Cheryl. Slovakia is somewhere down here. I'm not sure I'm going to get it exactly right. Actually, Slovakia, I'm going to go with Slovakia over here. Am I right, folks? Ukrainian types. I know it's down here-ish, okay? Slovakian border is basically in that corner. They're blockading the border now, too. A little bit more detail on this. Hang on. Okay, basically, they normally limit the permits given to truckers that are allowed to cross the border. They limit the number of permits. Well, they lifted the permit requirement for Ukrainian truckers to try to make it easier for the Ukrainian economy and aid and everything else. But now it's competing too much with truckers. They claim truckers in Slovakia and in Poland claim that it's competing too much with them. Thank you, Marie. So that's why they say, nope, we want the permits back. This is crazy. You're hurting our business. Finland. So Finland, there's an update kind of on the gas pipeline that somebody attacked, it looks like. Cute Terry. Thank you, Tom Clark. There were two attacks, a couple of months ago in the Baltic region. And one of them was from Finland to Estonia, and it was a natural gas pipeline. The other was from Estonia, so it's a little bit further south, over to Sweden. Okay. Thank you, Hedges and Tom, from Estonia to Sweden. And that was a data pipeline, I believe. This is about the natural gas pipeline, and they've been investigating. Thank you, Arifa. Very nice gift. They've been investigating, and they believe it was a Chinese ship whose anchor, look at this, whose anchor was dragging on the bottom of the sea for a really long time, and that the Chinese are going to claim they just didn't know their anchor was dragging on the bottom of the sea as they're going a ridiculous distance, which, is clearly kind of BS. The investigation by Finnish authorities identified the main suspect, Chinese container ship Nunu Polar Bear, believed to have dragged its anchor across the Baltic seabed, cutting through cables and gas lines. According to one of the experts, he said, I'm not a sea captain, but I would think that you would notice that you're dragging an anchor behind you for hundreds of kilometers. Hundreds of kilometers is hundreds of miles. Thank you, Thibault, for the gift there. Financial Times. So this is another story about the sanctions on Russia. What interested me about this next story is that the timeline is looking at like the next 7 years or something, the next decade. And I'm really intrigued that a decently senior American official is talking about keeping oil sanctions on Russia for the next decade. I'm not sure the Europeans are going to go along with that. I'm very intrigued that the Americans are talking about that. Now, again, this is a senior State Department official. Let's see if that's Biden's position, but you would think he wouldn't say this unless it was the administration position. But listen to this. This is from the Financial Times. Washington is aiming to have in other words, to cut in half Russia's oil and gas revenues by the end of the decade. Jeffrey Piot, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Energy Resources, told the Financial Times that the curbs on Vladimir Putin's ability to fund the Ukraine invasion must ensure Russia can never again mount an attack on its neighbors. Now, this gets very interesting. Thank you, Ava. I got a little more I'm going to read, but think about this. This is now no longer, according to the State Department official, about stopping Russia from hurting Ukraine. Thank you, Succeed. This is about cutting Russia's finances in the long term to undercut the Russian military machine and the threats it could prove to the rest of Europe. Thank you, Courtney. That's great. That is, I would think, a little bit of an amplification of the goals that we've been hearing. I also would worry that Biden would be like, I'm not convinced Biden's got it in him for a 10-year sanction on Russia. Maybe. Thank you, Succeed and Heidi. I'm not totally convinced. In any case, listen to this, though. This was interesting, too. Thank you, Heidi. Heidi's on a roll here. Thank you, Heidi. The International Atomic Energy Agency has forecast that its oil and gas exports, Russia's, could fall by at least 40 to 50% by 2030 if Western sanctions are maintained. Interesting about that as well is it's giving us a little more information that these sanctions may not have changed Russia's approach to the war, but they actually are in the long term going to cause some serious damage if we keep them in place, and that's the big if. A little bit more here. Putin signed a decree to increase the size of the Russian army by 170,000 men. Institute for Study of War says a recent opinion poll indicates that the number of Russians who fully support the war in Ukraine has almost halved, cut in half, since February 2023. So the number of Russians who fully support the war has been cut in half, and that more Russians support a withdrawal of Russian forces from Ukraine than do not support it. I read in a different article talking about the same survey, or maybe this was ISW as well. 74% say they would be happy for Putin to sign a peace deal immediately. Now, if you're Russia, let's put it this way. I'm not surprised to some degree because they've owned all of this in Ukraine now. They're occupying all of this. So if you're Russian, you're going, hell, we occupy 17% of Ukraine. Why not call it a day and say we won? Right? Because that would be a significant gain for Russia if the war were to end right now. Anyway, Israel. Let's switch over to Israel. Quick sip of water here, and then we'll do questions afterwards. As always, please do keep the gifts coming, guys. Seriously, I'm not kidding when I say this. Your guys' gifts are literally what pay the bills, and it's the reason I've been able to do this for the last 2 years. So if you like my show, and you've got the, obviously the spare cash, please do consider purchasing some gifts. Thank you, Nancy. Or you can go to my bio. You guys can see it at aravosis.com. Thank you, Napoleon. You guys can find it in my profile on TikTok. Click the Linktree link, and you'll find lots of other ways: PayPal, Patreon, also Ko-fi, all sorts of different things. All right, Israel. So the big news today, thank you, John. Thank you, Courtney, Timothy, Your Honor. You guys are all on a roll now. Is that, thank you, Ellie. The ceasefire ended. last night. Okay. Last night, our time in America, early morning, Israel, Gaza. Thank you, Flower Lady. Oh, excuse me. And Loaf Hunt. So it ended for a few reasons. According to Israel and the Americans, it ended for three reasons. And I think they're telling the truth because this was all news that we saw yesterday. One, remember we were talking yesterday about how Hamas had launched a terrorist attack in East Jerusalem at a bus stop going after Israelis, and how weird it was that they were still having the ceasefire, but Hamas was doing a terrorist attack, and they literally came out of a car and just opened fire on a bunch of private citizens at a bus stop. Hamas claimed credit for it, so we know it's real, we know it's true. I mean, there was video, but Hamas literally took credit for it. And I said, and a number of you were like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, if they're doing a ceasefire, wouldn't it violate it? Well, it did violate the ceasefire. Two, somebody from Gaza fired a missile at Israel that about an hour before the ceasefire ended. And three, Hamas did not come up with another list, an acceptable list of hostages that it was going to release. The deal with Israel has always been, and I think still is, they're saying, if Hamas can come up with a list of 10 hostages, women and children, because we know they still have women and children, Israel will pause the war another day. Let me pull up a little bit of this right now. Let me see, actually. Hang on. Actually, let me give you a little bit more update on what's going on with the fighting, and then I'll give you details of the hostages, okay? So the fighting starts again. Israel's been attacking Gaza again. Hamas has been firing lots of rockets, mortars, other things from Gaza into Israel again. So it's all back, right? All of the Iron Dome in Israel, bombs going off in Gaza. It's all back again. Israel believes, thank you, adventurers. Israel believes Hamas's leadership is now in southern Gaza and that they're holding the hostages there. Now, yes, I do still have this here. Israel is still focusing on northern Gaza. Imagine Gaza. I really do have to print out a map. Sorry, guys. I've got the map back in DC, but I should just print one off. Imagine Gaza being a bit of a rectangle like this. Thank you, Florian. Imagine it being a rectangle like this. And Israel is sort of working on the top third, maybe, more or less top third. Northern Gaza, that's where they've been attacking mostly. They say that they're about 40% done with going after the north. Again, trying to clear it out of Hamas. Once they're done with that, they want to go after the south. Now, this is what the U.S. has been warning them about is once you go after the south, the U.S. does not want them displacing everybody like they did in the north. They don't want them setting up a buffer zone, which, by the way, there is some talk in Israel about that today. A buffer zone basically meaning, again, you've got Hamas as the rectangle, and you take, I don't know, it could be, I don't even know, a mile, several hundred feet, who knows, but around the edge where basically Israel sets up a military zone that nobody can cross, so that there's no risk at all of anybody crossing from Gaza into Israel. The Americans are saying they don't want Israel to do that because Israel would be doing this on Gaza's land. They wouldn't be doing it on the Israeli side. They would set up a military buffer inside Gaza, which would take some of Gaza's land away. The U.S. says they don't want them to do that. They don't want Israel to take Gaza's land. So we're still in the Israel talking about it phase, and America saying don't. We don't know yet what's happening. The Israeli forces dropped leaflets in southern Gaza today, calling in the main city called Khan Yunis, I guess I'll call it Khan Yunis, dropped leaflets calling it a fighting zone and telling residents to evacuate immediately. This would seem to contradict what the U.S. was saying, not what the U.S. was saying, but what the U.S. was asking for the other day, because the U.S. was saying, don't have people evacuate again. We don't want to have the same thing. That is what Israel's doing again. They're asking people to evacuate the city, saying it's a war zone. The leaflets included a QR code that connects to a map, so that people could have a map for how to get out. The problem is, because of the war, there's a lot of power shortages and a lot of internet shortages and telecommunications, so not everybody can pull up the map. So you get it. Hostages. All right, now I got the hostage stuff. I wanted to wait on it just because the hostage stuff is very complicated, and it is probably the main reason the negotiations broke down for the ceasefire. So the deal that Hamas and Israel had was to release women and children first. For whatever reason, they wanted women and children first. Now, as I've said before, children I get, obviously. You know what I mean? The kids. Yeah, fair enough. Women over men. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're at that stage in life where maybe we shouldn't play that game. You know what I mean? Oh, those poor women are so weak. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be a hostage, but whatever. The deal was women and men. And Israel says, Hamas basically said, they got nobody else. And the Israelis said, BS, we know you've got more. Now, specifically, Israel says there's about 136 hostages total, not just women. This includes men. 136 hostages total. Some of them obviously include Israeli military. They're not saying the numbers, okay? Biden and the Israeli officials believe, the Biden administration believe that Hamas continues to hold several women in their 20s and 30s as hostages, many of them kidnapped from the music festival. The women are of particular concern to Israel. This is from CNN here. In the hostage negotiations on Thursday and in the hours after the fighting resumed, Hamas insisted it did not have any more non-military female hostages to release. Gets complicated, right? Because they're not saying they don't have any women. They're saying we don't have any women that are not hostages, right? So there may be women who, they're not women who are military. There may be women who are, okay, I didn't even say anything worthy of a trigger warning. So please don't put that stuff up there, because seriously, you throw me when you do that. I would just appreciate if you don't do it. I said nothing that's even been vaguely trigger warning-ish, so please don't. I've been trying to be helpful here, but I don't, I don't even do that stuff normally. What I was trying to say here was that so it's getting to a definitional problem here. Is Hamas saying there's no women? Is Hamas saying there are women, but we think they're military women, right? Thank you, Chief. So it gets into a weird debate of what's going on here. It gets even more complicated. Let me see this. Okay, I was reading a bunch of different articles before the show, and every article had a different number coming from Israeli officials about how many women and children were left. For one article, the Prime Minister's office says there are 17 women still being held hostage. Okay, another article, the Israeli Defense Forces say, 17 women being hostages. Then the Israeli Defense Forces say there's 17 women and children. So Prime Minister's office said 17 women. IDF said 17 women and children. In a different article, the Prime Minister's office said 18 women and 2 children. And then they said 137 hostages instead of 136, I think it said earlier. My point here isn't that the Prime Minister's office is lying or anything. It's that Israel doesn't even have a good sense of how many hostages these guys are holding, because Hamas isn't really telling them, and B, you've got at least 3 other terrorist groups that appear to potentially be holding hostages. Well, one we know for sure, but possibly the others as well, so that it's not clear who's got the hostages. It's not clear how many there are, so that you also get into a problem where if you're negotiating with Hamas, you don't know if Hamas is telling you the truth. When Hamas says, we don't know if there are any more, are they telling you the truth, or are they lying because they're playing games, right? I mean, you just don't know. And this becomes part of the problem for Israel to try to figure out. But anyway, it's a mess trying to figure out kind of where it is on hostages right now. Another big story today, actually very big story today, that I'm not as convinced as some people that it's a blockbuster. I think it will cause political problems for Netanyahu, big political problems for the Israeli prime minister. The story is that the Israelis had a copy of Hamas's battle plans a year ago, but didn't take them seriously. The plans were so detailed and so on point. They talked about coming across the border in like 20 different places, having hundreds of men involved, going at military bases, but also going after civilians in cities and things. It even mentioned one of the main military bases that they did go after, that they were planning on going after. It mentioned that they would use drones to take out machine guns and all these different things, which they did in fact do. It mentioned, get this, it mentioned that they would use, what's the hydroplane, not the winged, the gliders, that they would use gliders to swoop in. They did. Well, Israeli intelligence didn't believe it. I should say not just intelligence. Israeli military looked at it and they said, Hamas is a bunch of jokers. This is paragliders. Thank you. This is way too complicated of a plan. There is no way they'll be able to do it. Then the story, this is from the New York Times. Then 3 months before the attack, so the attack is in October, so July maybe. In July, an Israeli intelligence analyst finds that Hamas has just done a test run of the attack. Actually, what she finds is Hamas has just done a test run of an attack. And I think satellite imagery, et cetera, right? Maybe it was electronic. So it could have been phone calls, but Hamas has just done a preparation for an attack. And she, being familiar with the Hamas plan that Israel discovered a year ago, says this attack, they basically did a mock attack within Gaza. She goes, this attack they did was exactly like the attack in the plan. I'm telling you the details. And she's going through the details, how it's the same thing. Her boss, who's a colonel, doesn't believe it. He says, oh, come on. Again, there's no way that they could ever pull off an attack like this. They'd be destroyed. They didn't take it seriously, and it was the attack. She was right. Now, people in government or people with government experience or people with intelligence experience will tell you just because one piece of evidence said something was going to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? There's a lot of times evidence says something's going to happen and it doesn't. So that's not enough to necessarily convict Netanyahu necessarily. Just because this one intelligence analyst said it looks like the plan, it doesn't mean that it was unreasonable for others not to believe her, because maybe she was literally the only one. Maybe for sure, other intelligence analysts looked at it and said, I don't think so, right? Having said that, now, but politically, you don't get away with these arguments. You can get away with these arguments if you're talking about, like I said, intelligence analysis, saying, yeah, sometimes we see stuff and we don't get it right. But if you're the prime minister, you don't get away with this, right? Netanyahu doesn't get away with everything people already were saying, which is how the hell did these guys get in? How did they not get stopped by the military? How did you not know? Now people know that basically he knew a year ago, in principle, that there was an attack planned. He knew 3 months before the attack that one of his people told him it's coming, and they didn't believe it. That politically, at least, puts you in a much worse situation. That puts you in a very bad situation. And well, here's the deal too. Emil says Netanyahu, did nothing. I'm sorry. I thought Emil was saying he didn't know anything. Yeah, he didn't do anything. The problem is leaders are held responsible. And again, it's still entirely possible. I'd be very curious from somebody with an intelligence background to say whether they think this is such a screw up or whether this is the kind of thing that happens, except in this case, thank you, Norway, except in this case, obviously, it has such dire repercussions that obviously it causes a bigger stink, Yeah, actually, Carrie is kind of saying that too. Thank you, Jay Ticker as well. Carrie's saying, you can be right and prevent something 1,000 times, but get it wrong once. Well, that's okay. There you go. What Carrie's talking about is, thank you, Addie. Israeli intelligence could be amazing. They could have stopped 1,000 terrorist attacks, but the one they don't stop is the one you know about. And it's the one that obviously is a disaster. Any case, at the very least, I think politically this is going to be even worse for Netanyahu. The question is, will he be able to hold out? Who knows? Couple more stories. Financial Times says Israel is planning a campaign against Hamas that will stretch for a year or more. This is from the Financial Times today, with the most intensive phase of the ground offensive continuing into early 2024. I'm just going to read this to you. The multi-phase strategy envisages Israeli forces who are garrisoned inside northern Gaza, making an imminent push deep into the south of the besieged Palestinian enclave. The goals include killing the 3 top Hamas leaders while securing a decisive military victory against the group's 24 battalions and underground tunnel network and destroying its ability to govern in Gaza. And this is where I mentioned Gaza City isn't finished. They said as well that they're only about 40% done with the north, and then they're going to move into the south. Finally, there was an article, and I don't remember where I saw it today, but it was interesting, that Israel is planning over the next several years. Actually, Netanyahu had made a comment about this, and then somebody was able to get more information, that Israel is planning on doing assassinations of Hamas leaders worldwide over the coming years. This is exactly what Israel has done previously with terrorist leaders, also with the Nazis and others, but certainly with terrorist leaders as well in more recent years, after the Black September attacks, where they went to Munich and took hostage and killed the Israeli Olympic team and the coaches back in 1972. The Israelis went and killed them all. I mean, they found them around the world over time and slowly killed them. And they did. I mean, things I was reading. This, I wish I had the article in front of me. It was going through some of the stuff the Israeli intelligence has done for these assassinations. I mean, things like they took out a terrorist leader in Beirut, I think it was, by dressing like Islamic women and getting close to him and killing him. Another one, they dressed as tourists in tennis outfits and stuff. That one, I think, backfired a little bit. But in any case, just wanted to mention it. All right, that is what I've got for that. Yes, you do not want to mess with Mossad, that's for sure. As always, I'll show you just a couple of the auction items. All the auction items are up now. 15 auction items we've got up on Discord. We do auctions to benefit Ukraine. Also, it benefits my work because, as I said, I do this, guys, for free, and I do it full time. So as part of my, my thank you, Triff. Part of my ability to do this comes from the gifts you guys give me, but also I try to supplement it with the auctions and other stuff. A lot of really cool auction stuff. I'll just show you like two. One is a challenge coin, but it's the Russian warship Go F Yourself challenge coin from Ukraine, which is the famous, it's the famous Russian warship, the Moskva, that the Ukrainians sank. And they sank it 6 weeks after the Russians tried to take Snake Island, and they told the Ukrainians on the island, get off the island or we're going to bomb you or surrender. And the Ukrainians said, Russian warship, go F yourself. And there's the recording, remember, that went worldwide. Well, the that challenge coin is for that. I've also got a very cool patch, new military patch from Ukraine of the Azov battalion. These are very cool. These are very, very cool. These are very popular as well. These are the guys who were in Mariupol. Thank you, Louis. Who were the 2,000. They were like 1,000 of the 2,000 men and women who were at the Azovstal steel plant fighting the Russians, fighting 14,000 Russians for 2 months. Got another of the angels, which we love. Thank you, Rose and Triff. This is a really neat angel and trident. So angel on this side, and then Ukrainian trident on the other side, cut out of a 30 millimeter Russian shell from Bakhmut that the Ukrainians then took and made into really cool artwork. Could be a candle holder. Anyway, there's lots of other stuff. I've got 15 things over on the auction. Go check it out. It's all, it's discord.aravosis.com, but you can also find it just by going to Discord and do a search for my name and it'll come up. But very cool stuff. Oh, Mom. Okay, Mom is back from the doctor. So you're going to be, in a minute, you're going to get Mom and her helper walking through. So ignore them. If you can't get to the VIP stuff, oh, hey, George, I can't watch her. Yeah. Oh, hello. Okay. Sorry. Now we got. Hey, I know. Be nice. Sorry, I'm on live, just so you know, so I can't really patrol the dogs. Sorry, we've got 2 German Shepherds running. Sasha, come here. Oh God. Okay. So I was trying to watch the German. Okay. Well, wait a moment. Yes. Hello. Hi. You want to come here too now? We're going to meet everybody. Oh, yes. Yes. He's got 2. Hello. Hi. Hello. Oh, you're nice and wet too. I love that. I love that. Sorry, guys. We have many dogs here. Many dogs. Okay, Sasha, come on up. You want to? Oh, jeez. Hey, what are you doing? He's got a German Shepherd and a German Shepherd puppy who's just, oh my God, who's just hilarious. Yeah, just don't let him destroy my toys either. I mean, Sasha's toys. Yeah. All right. Anyway, one moment and everyone will be gone. La. Stay here, Sash.
Yeah, hi, Sash.
Hello. Yes, I'm dealing with the two German Shepherds and Sasha, although they do get along now, which is good. Ooh. You want to come up? All right. Anyway, oh yeah. So anyway, the auctions. Go check them out on Discord, discord.aravosis.com. You can also just find Discord and okay. You want to help her through there?
No.
Otherwise, you can just find Discord and search my name. I know I was gonna say Ashley knows puppies are a handful. Oh, that's Tom too. Yeah, Ashley's got a dog that's still a puppy, but it's huge now at this point. So very funny. But yeah, no, they're very sweet, but they're shepherds, so they're like very, kind of the back and forth. Sasha, come here. Hey, come here. Well, no, she may want to go in there, but yeah, you can shut it, but she's gonna probably stay here, Sash. Hold on. You know what, Sasha, stay here. Stay here. You know what? Stay here for now, okay? Oh, this is never going to work. Okay, sorry. Just because I like to watch my dog because she's 10 pounds when she's around the German Shepherds. And of course, she wants to go in there. So now I guarantee you the next thing is going to be my dog at the door. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, let's do our Q&A section. Yes, we always have, especially when I'm at my mom's, we've always got, interesting interruptions in the show. This is where having done television helps in the past. You sort of get used to being live and trying to like, okay, how do I fake this? Sasha, come here. You want to get there? You go. Come on up. Anyway, oh my gosh. All right, let's do Q&A, etc., guys. What we got? Yep, that's what I was saying, Gregory. Exactly. That was the article from the New York Times. Exactly. We are not from Sparta. We are from southern Greece, actually. Yep, and northern Greece originally, probably, but southern Greece like more recently. Yep. Hey, Denmark. Sorry, it's midnight. Thanks for joining us. Oh, the VIP. Yeah, Arifa. You'd have to have a subscription. Okay. As far as the way the Discord works, the auctions are public, and then there's VIP auctions. The VIP auctions are for the monthly subscribers, other than TikTok, because TikTok is broken, unfortunately. And it's very annoying, but it is. So TikTok is broken, so there's no way for me to make you guys VIPs over on the Discord. It's way too hard. So if you are a monthly subscriber on any of the other services, we can set it up. And you can actually set it up just by linking the two, but TikTok will not link. So I'm sorry. You might, assuming that's the issue, you could unsubscribe on TikTok and then do one of the other ones if you want. Here, you want to come up? There you go. Okay, Sasha's up and feeling free again. We are going to do the coffee talk tomorrow. I totally forgot to put it on my list, but I already put up the event on Discord every Saturday morning for the same thing. Well, for everybody, YouTube does link. YouTube, if you're having a problem, go on the Discord and look, report the issue. There's a There's a support link on our Discord channel. Go there, and it's, what does it say? Report a problem or seek support, or I'm going to pull it up and see what it says. But go there and fill it out, because we will help you figure out what the problem is. It does work from YouTube. It absolutely works. I think it says request support. Let me just find this. Yeah, request support. Here. See where it says Discord support, request support, right at the top. Same thing for you guys. Discord support, request support, right at the top. So use that if you're having problems. Right, open a ticket and use that if you're having problems connecting your monthly to this. But anyway, tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Central Time. That's noon Eastern Time. So noon Washington, D.C. or New York. I will be going live for the monthly subscribers on here for the TikTokers. So on TikTok, and for everybody else, we'll be on Discord. And Discord, I already set up the event, so it's there. Thank you, Addie, for the gift. All right. What else we got? You're having homemade pasticcio? Oh, nice. I would love to. I know. I love pasticcio. Always been my favorite. I know. We haven't made it. We have to make it this trip. I should have made it for Thanksgiving, actually. It would have been kind of an interesting thing to do for Thanksgiving. Yeah, tomorrow is noon Eastern, so noon DC time, because I'm going to do it at 11 o'clock Chicago, where I am. Everyone's sharing food. Don't get us into the food black hole. We start talking food, and then it becomes the food channel, which I don't object to. But I just want to see if people want to talk about the politics first. Safety of the Baltic states, I'm not really worried about it. Seriously, you guys are NATO members now. I mean, Russia is going to screw with you, like also they're doing with this China thing, breaking the cables, like Russia's playing games with Finland and immigration, but they can't touch you. So they're just going to basically be the normal pain in the butt that they usually are. Thank you, Cheryl. They're just going to do obnoxious things. It's what Russia does. So, but no, you guys are safe, at least now that you're a member of NATO's. They can't touch you, which is good. Talk again of Ukraine giving away land for NATO membership. I have not seen that. The big problem there is going to be Hungary. I mean, Hungary is not going to let Ukraine join NATO. So I don't know what they're going to do about all of that. Even if Ukraine was willing to agree to that. Yeah, but I mean, look, if you're in Latvia, you're on the border. Just sort of some of the questions coming in. Somebody from Latvia was saying, they've been a little bit worried about Russia. I mean, you're right there. So I understand why you would be worried. The thing is, in the end, if Russia invades, Russia's at war. If Russia invades Latvia, they're at war with the United States, and they're at war with Great Britain and everybody else. So, they could. But I'm not convinced Russia wants to go to war against all of NATO. Certainly, I mean, you know what I mean? And even if you have Trump as president and he's playing games, right? Because, Trump with NATO, the Brits would go to war for you. Russia can't afford that right now. The other Baltic countries would go to war for you. Poland, Germany, France. I mean, I think everybody would. They're NATO members anyway, But so, I get it because you guys are right there. But, any of you guys you're all NATO now. You're all NATO. I don't know what you mean. What about Lithuania? What about it? You're all NATO. You're all protected. So I get it because you're right there. But I just think Russia wouldn't even think about doing this. What else we got? Yes, Slava, Andy. What's going on with Sweden? Not much. We're waiting for Turkey to act. The Swedish foreign minister had been told in Turkey the other day, or by the Turks at least the other day, that they were going to approve Sweden joining NATO. But will they? Right? Let's see. Not really, Nayev. Nayev says Russia's already at war with all of NATO. Nayev, if Russia were at war with all of NATO, they'd have lost already. They haven't lost the war because they haven't met our planes. They haven't met our cruise missiles. They haven't met any of our ships, our maritime. We would have destroyed Russia if we were at war with NATO. Part of the problem to some degree is that we have been pulling punches. The very fact that we've not been helping Ukraine sufficiently. I don't think we should have gone to war with Russia, but we should have helped Ukraine in a serious way and not in a half-assed way, which is what we're doing. Because we didn't, well, come on up. Here, come on up. All right. The dog wanted to come back up. So quite the contrary, right? If we were at war with NATO, you would know it and Russia would know it because you'd have lost and they'd have lost. And Ukraine wouldn't have to worry about Russia occupying any of their territory. Cliff says, Ukraine ambassador said, Israel faces the same triangle as Ukraine, Hamas, Wagner, Russia, and Iran. That I think that's good messaging. Yeah. The Iran stuff, absolutely. North Korea, I don't know that North Korea is getting involved yet. I'm just throwing in North Korea too, but it's good messaging. Yeah. Yeah. Sweden isn't in NATO because Hungary and Turkey are refusing to approve it. Every NATO member has to approve a new member coming in because everyone then agrees to protect everybody else. And Hungary and Turkey are playing games. Turkey supposedly might decide in the next few weeks, but we'll see. And Hungary claimed it wouldn't be the last country. So Hungary claimed if Turkey does it, we'll do it. But let's see, because Hungary keeps playing games too. So that's why they aren't members yet. Sudan, no idea. Hey, Teabags, welcome to the live. Is the United States pretty safe? Depends what you mean. I'd worry more about terrorism in the U.S. than I would about Russia. Russia's not attacking. That's not happening. Not much with Wagner. They still exist, but I think they're kind of getting watered down at this point. Do I think they'll invade Georgia, the Russians? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. Thank you, Blue Ariels. Appreciate the TikTok gift. Keep them coming. What else we got here? What else? I don't know. What resolution is that, LN? Tell us. You can't just drop the number of a resolution. Nobody's going to know what you mean. But if it's interesting, we can talk about it. Badriba, the thing is, you're right there. You're right there in Latvia, right next to Russia. So I would understand why you're afraid, why you're not afraid, but why you're concerned. And you should be. But at the same time, that's what NATO membership brings you. In the end, they can screw around, but if they invade, it's all out war. And, it would be a bloody mess, but in the end, Russia can't survive a war against us, and I don't think Russia wants a war against us because they'd still worry about the nuclear aspect. So and they'd be idiotic if they thought, if they didn't think we would go to war over Latvia or anybody else, we will. Over NATO, we absolutely would go to war over a Russian invasion. Look how far we were willing to go to Ukraine that isn't a member of NATO. I don't think we did enough, but we went pretty far with Ukraine, right? And they're not even a NATO member, as far as worrying about what the implications are. A UN resolution. Honestly, I couldn't care less about UN resolutions. I do. I just feel like UN resolutions are UN resolutions remind me of the US Congress when they pass things like National Ice Cream Day, and these like stupid things that mean nothing, but the UN, yes, the UN is going to give their opinion. Ooh, not your opinion, right? The UN Security Council can do stuff, but with Russia and America and China and everybody, forget it, right? They're always on opposite sides. But yeah, I mean, you mean, wait, House of Representatives in favor of Israel's right to exist? Yeah, but same idea, though. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, most Americans, I mean, right? Most of Congress is going to do that. They're going to support Israel. So, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, fair. But my point is that doesn't give me any new information because Congress is going to be supportive of Israel anyway. What else? Terry says, if Poland got sick of the situation and actually joins the war, would they forfeit their Article 5 protection? It's very interesting as to what, okay, first of all, it's something that would have to be debated and discussed by NATO itself. So, Poland joins the war. First of all, what does it mean to join the war, right? For example, I don't know. I mean, let's face it, in a way, okay. This gets very interesting. So the idea here is NATO's Article 5 is the agreement whereby all NATO countries agree to come to each other's defense, right? If we get attacked. The problem is it's if you get attacked. It's not if you attack somebody else, right? So there's no commitment that if you, Poland, let's say, decides to attack Russia, that doesn't mean we've got to go to war with Poland, right? It's if Russia attacks Poland. The problem gets, how do you define, right? How do you make that determination? Because think about it. I mean, already we're providing weapons to the Ukrainians. We're providing intelligence to the Ukrainians. We're helping the Ukrainians kill Russians, right? So, if Russia were to attack us, you could argue, well, we already entered the war, didn't we? Is it really Russia hit first, right? If we're giving weapons, so the way it would be determined is NATO would get together and discuss it and decide, okay, was this an attack on, not an attack, was it an unprovoked attack on Poland, or did Poland deserve it, because Poland started it? So if Poland were to enter the war, like I said, what does that mean, right? For example, what if Poland were to enter Western Ukraine and say, no, we're not entering the war. We're simply going to come in and we're going to put troops all over Ukraine in all of the free parts, because Ukraine is our ally, they're our neighbor, and these are all parts of the country that Russia doesn't occupy. And we're going to put troops there. And by the way, Russia, if you hit those troops, that's an act of war. Poland would probably be technically correct, but in the end, NATO, let's say, and then Russia attacks that part of Ukraine and kills Polish troops. NATO would still have to get together and say, okay, do we really consider this an attack on Poland? My guess is NATO might go, you know what? You put your troops there. We didn't really want you to. You did it on your own. You knew you were assuming the risk. Yeah, Russia hit your troops. We don't really feel like that's an attack on NATO, right? Having said that, what if Russia launches 100 cruise missiles and takes out 10,000 Polish troops? Now it's maybe a different story. You get it. Bottom line is NATO would have to get together and kind of negotiate whether or not. It's very interesting, and very political and very legal and very gray, very mushy, U.S. will have any war on U.S. soil? I don't think so. I don't know how we would. There is a National Ice Cream Day, Tom. There literally is. They used to bring free ice cream when I worked in the U.S. Senate. It was kind of, National Ice Cream Day was fun because it was free ice cream for everybody. You'd go in and you were like, the spoils of being a Senate staffer. No, but I'm talking about cruise missiles going in and taking out, if Polish troops were all over Ukraine and taking out troops all over the place, Anyway, I'm really not an expert on the proportionality principle. It's a good question. May Lawrence is asking about, can you elaborate about the proportionality principle in international law? I really don't know, and I've read about it, and it confuses me. Basically, there's been this debate on the notion that in international law, your response to an attack has to be proportional, which, by the way, I will tell you, I know American law. In American law, that's the case. In general, now it depends on the state, but in general, for example, if somebody attacks you, think about this as a person, okay? Somebody attacks you, your response has to be proportional, meaning if somebody on the street walks by and punches you in the face, you can't pull out you probably can't pull out a gun and shoot them, okay, just because they punched you in the face. You might be able to pull out a gun and say, stop, walk away, right? And if the person comes to hit you again, then it gets complicated, okay? But your response has to be proportional. And it depends where you are on the state. Some states have stand your ground laws, which make it much easier. Well, you've got to fear for your life, right? But if I walk by and I kick you in the shin, okay, right? I walk by and I kick your dog. That doesn't mean you can shoot me. It probably doesn't even mean you can punch me, unless I'm coming at your dog again. And to stop me from coming at your dog, I can punch you or stop you, but I can't shoot you unless there's no other way. Do you get it? You've always got to be proportional. It's always got to be, in other words, by proportional, I mean, typically in domestic law, proportionality means I'm only using as much violence as is necessary to stop you. Okay? That's what proportionality is. Just enough to stop you. And obviously, sometimes killing you isn't what is necessary, right? Or, by the way, too, sometimes proportionality is running as well. If it's a private person, someone tries to rob you, if you can easily run and get away, you're supposed to run and get away. You're not supposed to shoot them, depending on the state you're in. So in international law, you'd think that would be it, but I've seen several experts weigh in on Israel and Gaza. Thank you, Sherry, and talk about something way more complicated, and I just don't know. I just don't know how it applies. I will say this too. It's also kind of a political thing because in the end, right? I mean, thanks, Tom. In the end, I guess you could try to go to a court or something to hold Israel responsible, right? But it's probably more this international debate on whether Israel did or didn't break the international norms. Thank you, Joe. And, that could be a political discussion in the end. I don't know, though. I don't know. I have to look into that, the proportionality thing, and see whether there is a clear-cut definition, because clearly they're arguing over it and it's not entirely clear. Well, I mean, that's, who was that? Doggy? Thank you, Doggy Dave. What else? Beep, 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 beep. Sure. Yeah. Rugby Network said, if things kicked off in Taiwan, would you add that to your shows? I think we'd have to. Meaning if war broke out between China, the US, and Taiwan, I would be talking about it. Yeah, we wouldn't have a choice. I mean, it's a lot of news to cover, but how do you not, I mean, this still is a news show overall, and I try to sort of cover the biggest stuff of the day, even if it's not, I mean, we started with Ukraine, but we're, broadening out. I'm still going to keep covering Ukraine like I do, but broadening out, though, it's familiar. Well, I get around and I've been doing stuff forever. So online and everything else, it easily could be that. I know I'd be doing 2 and 3 hour shows if that were the case. This is true. Do I think China will invade Taiwan? Eventually, yes. Eventually, yeah. They want Taiwan back. But it depends how prepared they feel. It depends if they think we're prepared or not, relatively. And it depends whether they really believe that the U.S., like what the U.S. would do in response. The very funny killer. But it depends what they think the U.S. would do in response. Like, do they really think the U.S. would help Taiwan? Even if we help Taiwan, does China think the U.S. would literally enter the war on behalf of Taiwan? Biden said we would. Does China believe that? Right? If China doesn't believe it, maybe there's a better chance that they might attack. Right? Will Norway become even richer? I don't know. I'm jealous already of Norway. Didn't they find something else now off of Norway? Like more oil or something? I thought they found something else. I remember hearing about it the other day and I was like, Jesus, could you be any richer? If Putin got assassinated, well, that'd be interesting. I mean, the war could end potentially if Putin got assassinated, if somebody else came in who was more moderate, right? But you also could get somebody coming in who's crazier. Somebody who comes in and says, assassination, right? The country is at threat. We must clamp down on everything. And all of a sudden, then you have a super dictator who comes in. So assassinations are risky things. Well, I mean, paying for 3 big wars, yeah, it'd be expensive, but we might not have a choice. Having said that too, World War II, we paid for World War II, and you know what it did? It made us the world's biggest superpower, and it made us hugely rich in a way as a result, right? Because World War II pulled us out of the Depression once and for all, and set us off as the world's economic superpower at the time. So, who knows what a war would do, whether it would totally break us or whether it also would supercharge the economy. Who knows? I mean, hey, Super Hornet, but it would be expensive. Yeah. What do you do? Oh, excuse me. Oh. Killed the British Empire too. Well, that's okay. That's a good point too, though. Callum gives a good counterpoint. It helped us. It didn't help Britain very much, but it certainly helped America. World War II did. This is true. Well, helped us. I mean, we lost a lot of men too. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying in terms of pulling the country out of the economic problems and everything else, and the growth of the country afterwards. With an H, McGillicuddy. Oh, we'd be very unified. Gregory says, how unified would the world be? That's an interesting question. How unified would the world be in sanctioning China if they invaded Taiwan? I don't know. The U.S. would be very unified. That would not be a problem. Would the world be unified? I don't know. I mean, we already had Macron making comments like, remember not a couple months ago, now it could have been 6 or 9 months ago, that Macron, the Prime Minister of France, or President of France, made a President of France made a comment about how almost like it's not our business if Taiwan gets invaded, and we were kind of like, what? So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what would the European reaction be. Interesting. Callum, you're saying the UK wouldn't give a crap about China invading Taiwan? You mean? That's interesting. If that's what you mean. There's no problem with immigration in France. Right. Thank you, Laura. Does the UK have to support the US in Taiwan? They don't have to, but the US would want them to, and there'd be a lot of pressure. And then the UK would have to think, right? Politically, the UK would have to think very hard about whether they wouldn't help the US with Taiwan. Yes. Now, help. They could help in the same way we're helping Ukraine, though. They could not get involved in the war, but they could be supplying us with all sorts of stuff, intelligence and weapons and everything else. Who knows? Who knows? We'd want them to, that's for sure. What else? I know. Yeah. Well, we do get a lot of exports from China, and they're cheap. True. No, China's very interconnected. The thing is, China itself is very interconnected because it also sells a ton of stuff, So everybody would be, a war with China would have economic consequences for China and for us both, clearly. The military Rugby Network says, do you think U.S. would beat China? The military experts, the what do you call them? The war scenarios they've run, the war games they've won, show the U.S. winning, but it being very costly. So it does show the U.S. winning, but it does also show that it would be expensive for us in terms of money, manpower, equipment, etc. So, so it'd be nice to avoid, put it that way. That's what I think adventure is. I think Britain would get pulled into the war because of the special relationship. They wouldn't have a choice. The U.S. would be like, come on, and Britain would be like, all right, you're our closest ally, and we're your closest. Well, I think we're your closest ally. And you'd probably want to preserve that, certainly at the leadership level. I don't know whether the people would, but the leadership would get that from a strategic perspective. Oh, excuse me. Venezuela, I have no idea. You're kidding, Tonka. Tonka, do you think Venezuela will invade Guyana? I don't know what's going on with Venezuela and Guyana, so I have no idea. Why? What are the Venezuelans up to now? Oh, and I just messaged you, Tonka, because you won the auction. One of the nicer ones, as I recall, over on Discord. So go check it out. Oh, sorry, guys. My dog woke me up last night. 3 a.m. The dog got me up. I thought she had to go out. She just wanted to stretch. But I was already like like my nerves were like this because I was like, I can't believe you're awake, because she's woken me up a few nights now, having to go out in the middle of the night. And I was like, oh my God. And she's stretched on the ground and climbed back into bed. And I was like, are you kidding? And at this point, I'm already like, awake, annoyed. So, and then she hogs my bed, but that's a whole other story. She's a very pretty dog, a very sweet dog, but she hogs my bed. Midwest doesn't care about China, but Republicans do. As do a lot of a lot of Democrats care about Taiwan. The Republicans very much care about Taiwan and China. She doesn't do the fake going out. I'll give her that, but still, having to go out at 3 a.m. when I took her out at 10 is a bit annoying. Anyway, hi, Susan. Hello, Susan. Thank you for the super chat question. What would happen if Hamas, the Taliban, and ISIS joined forces? They have the same goals: killing, genocide. I know, stupid. I mean, to some degree, okay, maybe nothing, because it kind of depends. I guess it depends. I think, first of all, you might have to get somebody over my pay grade for that question, but they all have similar goals anyway. All of their goals are opposite of us. So in a way, right? Like, what does join forces really mean, I guess? I don't know. Is there some kind of support they all could give each other that would make them all stronger? That I don't know, right? I guess that would be my question, Oh, that's interesting. Kyle says they all three hate each other in certain ways too. That's interesting. They all hate us, clearly, but that's very interesting as far as what the relationships are between them. So I guess then that's the first issue. Second issue is, what does it mean if they join forces? Like I said, like physically, is there something they would be doing? I don't know. I hate that, Susan. You were very generous, and you're asking a question that it's a good question too. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I think one thing is, I was just gonna say, Red, I think, is hinting at this, like attack from three fronts. Exactly. You could have a number of them get together and decide to launch terror attacks against the West and against the US. And you've got ISIS and Hamas and whether they're going after US embassies and this and that, right? Like multiple fronts going after us, that would not be good. Probably most dangerous right now is Hezbollah in southern Israel, in southern Lebanon. That's the big concern, is that they jump in and invade Israel and cause all sorts of problems with that. Oh, that's okay, Tonka. But I also wanted just to know, like, I double make sure you give me the latest address too, because some people, I had one or two people go, "Oh, my address changed. Does that matter?" I'm like, well, if you want to get it, it does. Sorry, we're talking about our auctions over on the Discord. No, that's okay. Almost nobody had paid yet today when I sent it out, so don't worry. You're with everybody else, but thank you. I just remembered your name because that Tonka sticks in my head. Yeah, Derek is mentioning this. Somebody putting on a Palestinian flag, I think, set themselves on fire in Atlanta today, which was kind of wild. Nothing. I don't know anything about it. I just saw a quick little mention of the story before coming on with you guys. Okay, same address. Okay, but kind of wild. I don't think he's okay. I think he's dead. Poured gasoline on himself, I think, and set himself on fire. A little weird. Outside, I think, the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. Was it Atlanta? I think it's Atlanta. Outside the Israeli consulate, it said, a little. Yeah, it would have been, if it's down there, it would be the consulate. Yeah, because the embassy is always in the capital, and then the consulates are like the satellite offices they have that often do immigration and other stuff around the country. So it wasn't in Washington, D.C., so it would have been a consulate. But yeah, same concept, Derek. Yeah. People always get that mixed up, so don't worry. It's just a technical thing with diplomacy. He's critical in the hospital. Okay. Yeah, honestly, that just, yeah, that's a little messed up. So I saw clips of the Newsom-DeSantis debate. There was a debate, which is really weird, between two guys who are not the top nominees, but one of the Republicans running for president, one of the Democrats who isn't running for president but might someday, Newsom, who's the governor of California, and DeSantis, who's the governor of Florida. and they had a debate on Fox News last night, and it was very. I was surprised. I've heard Newsom is very good. I had no idea he was that good, meaning that that good a speaker, having his facts down. I was kind of blown away, actually. It was hosted by Sean Hannity, so it wasn't. I'm surprised Newsom. Also, that I'll give Newsom credit for taking a debate on Fox News that was run by Sean Hannity. That was those were the deck, the chair, whatever they call the cards stacked against him or whatever. No, Newsom was. I was impressed by his speaking. Was it? Well, I didn't. Okay, then I'd have to see. The clips made him look very good. I did not watch the debate. Courtney's saying he wasn't as good as the clips make it look. I don't know. Okay, I'd have to see. Yeah, the clips were very. I was like, wow, but I'd have to see. What else, guys? Malayathos says he was 100. Shared on. I mean, I follow stuff on Twitter, so stuff is shared. Political stuff is shared left and right. The real winner was Haley. That's possible too. Well, she's been coming up in the polls. The question is whether it's too late. I mean, the problem is you sort of get this momentum, and then after the first couple primaries, all of a sudden they pick a winner, or they declare a winner practically, and it's like, it'll be. Thank you, Adam. It would be very interesting to me if Trump didn't get it. I'd be very surprised. I mean, in his the Republican nomination, just because he's so far ahead. But who knows? I mean, what if he lost a few of the earlier races, and all of a sudden the perception changes, or again these? Well, the problem with the court cases is they're probably going to happen too late. Trump could already have the nomination. He could go to jail, which I don't think will happen, and still be president. There's no law against it. You can run for president. You can be president in jail. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, what else, guys? Yeah, protesters in critical condition, but not dead. Yeah, that's what Poppy was saying too. Twitter jobs. Yeah. If Elon Musk were gone, I'd love to help Twitter. I like Twitter. You can be a president with a criminal record. Yeah. You can't vote if you're a felon. I do need my eyes are getting no, there's two things going on. One, my eyes are getting a little bit worse, but also I need reading glasses to be able to read well. So I'm probably doing this because I would need these like right here to be able to see the screen. And I'm trying to look at your guys' questions, and it's just a little far. So yes, that's why I got to make sure I don't squint. But that's because squinting helps a little, I guess. But update on Israel, half the show was about Israel. The update is that the ceasefire is broken down. They're bombing each other again. Gaza's attacking. Hamas is shooting missiles at the Israelis. The Israelis are shooting missiles at Gaza. That's the short answer. So, correct. Like Greg Falk just said over on YouTube, Trump cannot vote for himself if he's a convicted convict. He can still be a convicted felon, but he can still run for office and be elected. As a sitting convict, he could be in prison as a felon and be elected. What's your question, Bree? Bray? I don't know if I'm gonna. Might have gone too far up here. There's too many. There's too many there. I can't see it. What was your question? No, Callum, tell us what's up with that. Callum just said he just sent me a message that the Kerch Bridge defenses are out because of the snow. That would be hilarious. This is the bridge in southern, that would be the bridge in southern Ukraine. Come on. The bridge in southern Ukraine here that the Ukrainians have hit before, and it's a really important bridge for the Russians because it connects Ukraine to Russia, which is right here. And it brings in a lot of supplies for the Russians with the war and everything else. And the Ukrainians have hit it repeatedly, but they haven't destroyed it yet. But I did not know that that the bridge defenses were off because of the snow. That's really interesting. Now, I guess my question would be, is whatever Ukraine would use to hit the bridge, well, typically they've been using drones. They've been using drones, though. And I don't know anything about the defenses in Crimea. I know there have been big storms in Crimea, but I don't know whether that I've seen nothing, nothing that says it'll make it easier for Ukraine to attack, but I don't know. I just haven't seen that. Oh, I know what you're talking about, Terry. For a second, I saw you say deep state maps, and I thought you meant deep state, as in a deep state. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Or gal? I don't remember which one you are. I think I know what you mean. I have to check it out. There's one map thing that people like. I still found it a little confusing, but the Ukraine map we like because it's a T-shirt. I started doing it at the beginning, and we just sort of got it's my thing. So people didn't want us to switch, and it's a good T-shirt. It has like a really good number of the cities on there and stuff. It's really funny. Yeah, beaches washed away. I mean, just seeing here. Interesting. That bridge would be hilarious, though. Hey, Stooge. But if the defenses were down, wow. Well, and I guess it depends what defenses. Are they air defenses? Are they defenses against drones in the sea, or what they are? You know what I mean? But that'd be pretty wild, though. Be very wild. Sorry, mods, remind me again to check on Facebook, because somebody had contacted me and said remember they wanted their son to be put in touch with Vlad, who's their son, I think, is volunteering in Ukraine. Exactly. Do not mess with the deep state map. I mean, with the T-shirt map. Hold on. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you know. Oh God, I don't know. I don't know the law in New York about quarantining sick people. I have no idea. No idea. Storm shadow time. Yeah. Well, depends how many missiles Ukraine's. I will say this, Ukraine, they may not want to use the missiles right now because it's too early, but you know what? They could have used the Storm Shadow during the counteroffensive. The Storm Shadow, taking out the Kerch Bridge, like really blowing it up entirely, might have been the kind of thing, though, that the world would have gone, whoa. It at least would have sent this message of, wow, Ukraine just boom, blew the hell out of them, because they needed a few big things during the counteroffensive to make people think like, yeah, rather than, wow, nothing's happening, right? Which then you go, maybe this is a stalemate. But I'm sure for strategic reasons, they didn't want to do it yet, right? Which I can appreciate. But I still think it might have helped them had they done it, Yeah, I don't know, Bree. I keep not seeing I've been looking on and off, but I'm not seeing a question from you buried in here. Or you may be saying a word that we have banned, because we've had to ban different words just because the trolls will come in and use them, like the bad people come in and spam. So it's possible you've got a word that's banned, but isn't a word that needs to be banned, but because people were abusing it, we had to put it on there to get rid of it. So yeah, the tunnel hit, Nancy, is very interesting. When Ukraine hit that railway tunnel out in the west, again, 4,000 miles away, maybe. That's very interesting. Yeah, send it again. But Callum, I wonder if it's not getting caught in the filter. Some key word that Bree is using, or Bray. That's my concern. Bridges can be fixed in a couple of months. Correct. I mean, Callum had told us previously, because Callum's our former military munitions expert, that you'd really want to go after the base. If you're going after a bridge, you'd want to go after the base of the bridge, the supports, because those much harder to fix than the spans on top. They just replace the spans. Still takes them out for a few months, which is good, but well, we kind of elected a female president in 2016, but she had the most votes, but FBI got involved and lots of other things. So what do you do? They are dumb, Terry. Yes. Are Russia's chances of losing ever going to significantly increase? I don't know. Honestly, I would say maybe not. We don't want Russia to lose. The Biden, France, and Germany do not want Russia to lose. They just wanted to make sure Russia didn't win. Meaning a stalemate is fine. We just don't want Russia to take all of Ukraine. But I think they were fine with Russia getting part of Ukraine. They do not want Ukraine to get Crimea back, because then Putin will get upset. So we would have to help Ukraine with much better things than we're giving them, including long-range rockets. We're not giving them. We don't want to, or long-range missiles, I should say. We don't want to. So I don't think there is. Yeah, I don't think Russia's chances of losing are going to increase. You know, I mean, I've been saying that forever. Hi, I hear you. Yes, the dog is whining. God knows what she wants. She's become a whiner now in her old age. Everything is. Hi. Yeah, I'm making fun of you to hundreds of people. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. God. I'm kidding. I could always show you guys where. Oh, there she is. Oh, she's turned away. Okay, she turned away. What? What? I think she wants to play. You're harder. I don't want to pick up my laptop because it's connected to too many things. You're a little bit tougher to turn and show on the ground. Anyway, guys. All right. I think we may call it quits. We're at 22 after here. Oh, Viper's got something. Given that it appears to be a war of attrition, which I kind of feel, Russia, unfortunately, has bigger pool of bodies to draw on. That is true. Ukraine, I feel, will start to struggle to put boots on the ground. Maybe. Zelensky was talking today about needing to change sort of the rules for the draft and everything else, that they don't have enough troops. Oh, you want to? Oh, sorry. Dog wants to go into 1 second here. Okay, go inside. Go on. All right, there. Dog wanted to go inside. Hopefully, I don't think my brother's still there. If he is, hopefully he's watching. But yeah, Zelensky was saying that they need more men, and the concern is that the Russians have got a population 3 and maybe a half times the size of Ukraine's. So there is concern that the Russians have more men to call on. That's a concern. Yeah. Having said that, the war is costly to Russia. The war has killed a lot of Russians. At some point, it would be nice if that starts to kick in as far as influencing the Russians and affecting Russian public. I mean, we know it's affecting Russian public opinion, but in a way that would actually, cause them to maybe back down, right? Leaving, I don't know what the hell that means. NATO IT assets? No, I don't know what that is. But thank you for that, Viper. But I think that's a fair point. Also, there's the concern with drones in the long term, that the Russians are really built up their drone capacity, and the Ukrainians are, but the Russians have done a much better job of it, and that the Ukrainians are already seeing the impact of it. That's always been a concern going into next year too. And Russia, over the long term, will build up its weapons capacity again. Ukraine's building up, but Ukraine would have to get a lot of its weapons replaced from the West. Is that going to happen? That's a concern too. So no, again, the bigger problem is NATO doesn't want Ukraine to win. I mean, at least Biden, France, and Germany, they don't want Ukraine to win. They want Ukraine to tie. So Ukraine's not going to do better because we don't want them to do better. I mean, that's the biggest problem right now. Yes, Yulia is she is Ukrainian from Ukraine. If that's who you're talking about. What else, guys? Anything else? We're going to go shortly here. You just woke up 20 minutes ago. How do I feel about Palestine? I've never been. Way too general of a question. All right, guys. I think we call it quits here. All right, we're kind of dragging. Tomorrow morning, remember, we've got our coffee talk at 11 a.m. Central Time. That's noon Eastern Time for the paid subscribers on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Ko-fi. And my dog is walking to the door because she's got to go pee. Perfect timing. Okay, I see ya. All right, dog's got to pee. Perfect timing. All right, guys. Then I will see you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you on Monday back at 6 o'clock Eastern. Okay. She's got to go. This was good timing. Thank you, Adam, for the gift. All right, bye, guys. Thank you, mods. Oops.